What happens when you search for the richest Jewish pastors in America? A viral claim hints at a hidden world of incredible wealth where faith and finance meet. But what we found was something else entirely. It's a journey that takes us into the multi-million-dollar empires of televangelists, explores a misunderstood faith, and uncovers a truth that's way more complex and fascinating than a simple list of names and numbers. The real story of faith and fortune in America isn't what it seems. And tonight, we're finding out who really holds the wealth where spiritual leadership and big money collide. Before we can even start counting cash, we have to untangle the words because the very title, Richest Jewish Pastors, is a linguistic tripwire. First, the word pastor. That's a title used almost exclusively in Christianity. In Judaism, the spiritual leader is a rabbi. The jobs, the training, the way they're paid, it's all fundamentally different. So are we looking for rabbis or something else? Then you've got Jewish. Does that mean someone practicing Judaism or someone of Jewish heritage who might practice a totally different faith? This distinction is everything, because when you look up America's wealthiest pastors, you get names that are legendary in the world of faith and finance. People like Kenneth Copeland, with a net worth estimated at a cool $300 million, a private airport, and a fleet of jets because he refuses to fly in a long tube with a bunch of demons. Or Joel Osteen, the smiling preacher, with a personal fortune of around $100 million, mostly from book sales and tours. These guys are Christian pastors. They've built empires, but they don't have Jewish heritage. On the flip side, if you look at the wealthiest people of Jewish heritage, you find titans of industry, not ministry. Tech founders, hedge fund managers, real estate moguls. Their fortunes are in the billions, but they built them in the boardroom, not from the pulpit. So our search is for a very specific person, someone who acts as a pastor, has Jewish heritage, and has gotten seriously wealthy doing it. This leads us straight into the complex world of Messianic Judaism. Messianic Jews are people of Jewish descent who believe Jesus, or Yeshua as they call him, is the Messiah. They often keep Jewish traditions while holding Christian beliefs. Their leaders are sometimes called pastors, sometimes rabbis. It's in this small, often controversial movement that our investigation has to start. The viral claim implies a list of 10 powerful, wealthy figures. Our job is to see if they actually exist. Our countdown begins with a bit of a twist, with absence. In the hunt for the 10 richest Jewish pastors, the last 3 spots on our list, numbers 10, 9, and 8, are phantoms. They're ghosts in the machine of online wealth calculators. They don't seem to exist. And their absence tells a story, maybe a more important one than their presence ever could. So why is the bottom of the list empty? The answer is in the huge financial and structural differences between mainstream Judaism and the megachurch machine that creates most of America's richest pastors. The engine of that wealth is almost always something called the prosperity gospel. The prosperity gospel, in a nutshell, teaches that God wants you to be healthy and wealthy, and that material stuff is a sign of his favor. A key part is seed faith, the idea that if you donate money to a ministry, God will pay you back 100 times over. This creates a massive financial incentive to give, and give big, directly to the pastor. Televangelists like Kenneth Copeland, Jesse Duplantis, and Creflo Dollar have perfected this, promising financial miracles in exchange for donations. Their massive fortunes are the direct result. This whole framework doesn't even compute in mainstream Judaism. Jewish theology has a deep history with charity, but the idea of seed faith, giving a rabbi money to get a financial return from God, is non-existent. Synagogues run on membership dues and fundraising campaigns for community needs. It's a model of communal support, not divine investment. Rabbis get a salary, set by a board and a budget, not tied to how much seed money they can rake in. The system just isn't designed to create multi-millionaire spiritual leaders. Historically, Jewish culture has long linked great wealth with business, not the synagogue. For centuries in Europe, anti-Semitic laws barred Jews from owning land, pushing them into finance and trade. That history, though born of oppression, created a cultural link between Jewish life and the secular world of money that still exists. So when you look at major Jewish philanthropy, the fortunes are given by business leaders to institutions, not built by religious leaders. So our search is for a very specific person, someone who acts as a pastor, has Jewish heritage, and has gotten seriously wealthy doing it. This leads us straight into the complex world of Messianic Judaism. Messianic Jews are people of Jewish descent who believe Jesus, or Yeshua as they call him, is the Messiah. They often keep Jewish traditions while holding Christian beliefs. Their leaders are sometimes called pastors, sometimes rabbis. It's in this small, often controversial movement that our investigation has to start. The viral claim implies a list of 10 powerful, wealthy figures. Our job is to see if they actually exist. Moving up the list, we leave the phantoms behind and step into the Messianic movement. Here, we finally find people who fit our criteria, leaders with Jewish heritage who are called pastors or rabbis and who have found some financial success. But the money here is a world away from the private jets and sprawling mansions of the televangelist A-listers. At number 7, we have Amir Tsarfati. An Israeli-born Messianic teacher, Tsarfati founded Behold Israel and has become a major voice in the online prophecy world. His YouTube channel has a huge reach where he interprets Middle East events through a biblical lens. His net worth is estimated to be between $2 and $7 million. This wealth comes from the modern playbook of a digital creator: YouTube ad revenue, book sales, and online donations. According to ProPublica, his compensation from Behold Israel has been over $1 million, showing a very successful operation. He's built a global brand, but it's a digital media company, not a traditional church. At number 6, we find a similar story with Rabbi Kurt Schneider. Born to a Jewish family, Schneider had a vision of Jesus as a young man and became a key Messianic Jewish leader. He hosts the TV show Discovering the Jewish Jesus and leads a congregation in Ohio. Estimates put his net worth around $3 million. His income is a familiar mix: TV, books, and donations to his organization, Shalom Ministries International. His is a professional and successful operation. But like Tsarfati, his wealth is in a totally different league from the top Christian pastors. Schneider has also faced heavy criticism, not for his wealth, but for his beliefs. Critics from the mainstream Jewish community argue that Messianic Judaism is a deceptive form of evangelical Christianity appropriating Jewish symbols to convert Jews. These figures, and others like them, represent a new kind of religious entrepreneur. They're not building 30,000-seat megachurches, they're building global media brands from studios in Ohio and Israel. While they are millionaires, they aren't tycoons. Their wealth is in the single-digit millions, not hundreds of millions. This trend holds for the wider Messianic movement. It's a small movement with only a few hundred congregations in the U.S. Many of its organizations run on tight budgets. The controversies are more often about identity than money, as they face exclusion from mainstream Jewish groups who see their beliefs as a betrayal. So, as we fill these middle spots, the picture gets clearer. Yes, there are Messianic leaders who are millionaires, but they're a far cry from the mega-rich figures of viral claims. Their wealth is built on media and publishing, and it's a fraction of what their Christian televangelist counterparts have. The intersection of Jewish heritage and pastoral leadership isn't a hotbed of nine-figure fortunes. To understand why, we have to look at the engine that creates those fortunes in the first place. The middle of our list, spots 4, 3, and 2, is where the real story is. Just like the bottom of the list, these spots are empty. They represent a crucial void, a conceptual gap that explains the enormous wealth disparity we're seeing. This is the space where the prosperity gospel should be, but isn't. The absence of this powerful theological engine is the #1 reason a top 10 Jewish pastors list will never look like the list of richest Christian pastors. Let's be clear about what the prosperity gospel is. It's more than just a belief, it's a system. Preachers teach that your faith, your positive attitude, and especially your financial donations act as a spiritual law. You sow a seed of $1,000 expecting to reap a harvest of healing, success, or more money. This creates a direct transactional fundraising model that has proven incredibly effective. Preachers like Kenneth Copeland built their empires on this, framing their own staggering wealth, the jets, the mansions, as proof that the system works. Copeland famously defended his private jet by saying commercial planes are just long tubes with a bunch of demons. That lifestyle is paid for entirely by the prosperity gospel. Now, let's look back at our investigation. Where is this theology in Judaism? Pretty much nowhere. In mainstream Judaism, the idea of tzedakah, or charity, is about a duty to support the community and care for the poor. It's not an investment for personal gain. A rabbi telling their congregation to give them money so God will make them rich would be seen as bizarre and deeply unethical. The cultural and theological antibodies to the prosperity gospel are just too strong. But what about Messianic Judaism? It gets a little more complex here. The movement has deep roots in evangelical Christianity, where the prosperity gospel was born. So do Messianic leaders preach health and wealth? Overwhelmingly, no. Most focus on biblical teaching, prophecy, and bridging Jewish and Christian identities. Their fundraising is traditional nonprofit work, appeals to support a mission, not to unlock a divine jackpot. Of course, there are hints. You might hear talk of God's abundance, but the explicit give-to-get formula is missing. You won't find a major messianic leader asking followers for $65 million for a new Gulfstream jet like Creflo Dollar famously did. This theological disconnect is the key. Without the prosperity gospel, you don't have the machine to generate hundreds of millions of dollars. You can build a successful media ministry, sell books, and become a millionaire like Amir Sarfati and Kurt Schneider have. But you can't build a Kenneth Copeland-level empire. Theirs is a business model built on a specific, controversial theology that has no real parallel in the Jewish or Messianic worlds. These empty spots on our list are a monument to a theological road not taken. They prove that to understand faith and finance, you have to follow the ideas. The viral claim falls apart right here, in the void where the prosperity gospel is supposed to be. But there is one last name, one outlier, a figure who stands alone and whose story is the exception that proves the rule.
After a journey through phantoms, media millionaires, and theological voids, we finally land at number 1. This is the figure who comes closest to the viral claim that started it all. He's a pastor, he has roots in the Middle East, and he is incredibly wealthy. At number 1 on the list of richest Jewish pastors is the Israeli-born televangelist Benny Hinn. With an estimated net worth of $60 million, Benny Hinn is in a totally different league from anyone else we've looked at. He's a product of the same televangelist boom as the other giants of the field. Born in Jaffa, Israel, to a family with Palestinian, Greek, and Armenian heritage, he was raised Eastern Orthodox. After his family moved to Canada, he converted to Pentecostalism. By the early 1980s, Hinn was in the US and launched a ministry that would make him one of the most famous and controversial religious figures in the world. Hinn's fame and fortune were built on his miracle crusades, massive faith-healing rallies in stadiums where he claims to perform divine healings. These crusades are broadcast on his long-running TV show, This Is Your Day. This media empire, combined with book sales and huge donations from believers, generated immense wealth. His lifestyle has reflected that, with reports of luxury homes and private jets. But Hinn's career has been swamped with controversy. His finances have been under a microscope for years. In 2007, his ministry was one of several investigated by the U.S. Senate over the tax-exempt status of religious groups and their leaders' lavish lifestyles. Watchdog groups have repeatedly called him out for a lack of financial transparency. Even more intense is the criticism of his claims. Documentaries like HBO's A Question of Miracles followed up with people Hinn supposedly healed, finding no evidence their medical conditions had changed. He's also been criticized for a string of failed prophecies, like predicting the world would end in 1992 and again in 1999. And then there's the prosperity gospel. While Hinn is known as a faith healer, his ministry has long been linked to prosperity teachings, suggesting that a seed faith donation could unlock healing. In a surprising twist, Hinn has recently claimed to renounce the extremes of this doctrine, saying it got out of hand. Critics remain skeptical, viewing it as a rebrand after decades of profiting from it. Benny Hinn's story is the climax of our search. He is the one figure who truly fits the mold, a world-famous pastor with a fortune in the tens of millions. He's the answer to our initial question, but his story is tangled in controversy, accusations of financial misconduct, and debunked miracle claims. He is the outlier, the one person who built an empire at this unique intersection. His story doesn't validate the viral claim of a powerful group, it just highlights how unique and contentious he truly is. He isn't the first among many, he's the only one of his kind. So, what's the surprising truth we uncovered? The idea of a top 10 list of richest Jewish pastors in the USA is fundamentally a myth. It's a house of cards built on a misunderstanding. There is no secret group of mega-rich Jewish pastors with Jewish heritage running a spiritual empire. The reality is far more interesting. We found only one person, Benny Hinn, who fits the televangelist mold of massive wealth with a $60 million net worth built on a controversial empire of faith healing and prosperity teachings. He's the exception that proves the rule. Beyond him, we found a few savvy messianic leaders like Amir Sarfati and Kurt Schneider who have built successful million-dollar ministries through media. They're comfortable, but they aren't the mega-rich figures the label richest pastors brings to mind. The reason isn't a lack of ambition, it's the lack of the theological engine needed to generate that kind of money. The prosperity gospel, the give-to-get system that turned pastors like Kenneth Copeland into a $300 million man, is almost completely absent from both mainstream and Messianic Judaism. The financial and cultural DNA of these worlds just isn't built to create pastoral tycoons. The story of the 10 richest Jewish pastors isn't really a story about people, it's a story about systems. It reveals the spectacular wealth of America's richest pastors is the result of a very specific and highly controversial business model wrapped in Scripture. A model that, for theological and cultural reasons, has never found fertile ground in the Jewish world. Our search for a list led us somewhere else entirely. It took us into what it means to be a pastor versus a rabbi, the complex identity of the Messianic movement, and the inner workings of the prosperity machine. The truth, as it so often is, wasn't in the sensational claim, but in the complex reality hiding just beneath it. If you found this investigation interesting, do us a favor and hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives that make you think. We put a ton of research into these topics, and your support makes it all possible. Now, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on faith and finance? Should religious leaders be wealthy? And where's the line between a successful ministry and a personal empire? Let us know in the comments below. We read them all. Thanks for watching.